Taxes are important. So too are tax waivers. My name is Charity, and I now know that I have spent the better part of my life, especially as an adult, waiving off, right? Other people have waived off their taxes or they have attempted to get some sort of credit for a tax donation. And that has actually been something I have been subjected to and have had to address in some manner. So I understand that. I understand, for instance, that for the better part of the last 3 years specifically, while I was on the street, last 4 years, three of which I was on the street, that part of what was happening is that people were trying to waive off or get some sort of reprieve from having to pay their taxes themselves. And so a lot of the currencies I was exposed to had to do with other people's tax donations. And I believe it is literally one of the reasons they refuse to pay me for a job. I also believe it's one of the reasons they refuse to allow me in a labor union. Is that they have taken my identity and created a non-profit because my name is Charity, and it's probably a nonprofit having to do with children because my middle name is Colleen. And they have waived a bunch of taxes off using me. I know they've done it with my legal filings, and the fact that they haven't let me make anything close to enough money to even pay for one legal filing, right? And when I did recently get a tax return, that what I did is I incorporated. I incorporated with my own money because I did not want to be in a position where somebody else could say, well, they paid for my incorporation, so they get to claim it. See, the way you let me get that was you told me it was a tax return after I appealed misrepresentation of the taxes that I had been required to pay on $7.44 of recorded verifiable income for 2019. Now I have all the reports, including the information, the report I sent to OSHA about that job, right? And I'm letting you know that because I'm a professional and I am now incorporated. Part of what I've done is kept track of my filing fees, my fees for myself, and the work I do. I created a client attorney agreement with myself in 2017 to represent myself pro se. I have copies of that. It's actually in a folder on my desktop regarding my legal work. I have had client attorney communications with myself in the course of this. When I provided something for another person, I had formal communication with them as well. In one case, I even filed with the court to articulate the specifics, and that's actually a matter of the court record. So I have comported myself as a professional. The thing is, nobody has acknowledged my fees for my services. Now, I did create an invoice. It is dated for June 30th, 2020. It was due on July 10th of 2020. And it is for a total of 34 hours of some form of legal services that I had done in the course of the month of June connected to my case and my efforts, including my investigative efforts, my filing efforts, or responding to other people's litigation efforts in connection with mine. And what I had hoped to be the preparation for an appeal. Now, did anybody pay it? No, they did not. They are now 10 days delinquent on paying my legal fees. My rate is $450 every 15 minutes. This is my rate. I have an invoice right now for $61,200 for legal services I did in the month of June. Nobody's paid it. Now, this is the first time I created a formal invoice of this sort. I intend to do it for the month of July as well, right? But whoever it was that thought they were qualified to spy on me, whoever it was that thought they were qualified to take my legal filings and my legal efforts and disabuse the actual processes they were supposed to go through by law, and not even give me legal redress and try to characterize me as a pauper, and yet take what had been the strategy I announced formally on the document I submitted last fall concerning what my income was and what my anticipated income was. And instead of acknowledging that, decided they were going to try to impersonate me, or they were going to subject me to an unconstitutional and illegal abuse of the judicial process and use my strategy as their own without paying me and without engaging me in a formal agreement around compensation. They're responsible. And let me tell you how they've applied those waive offs. It's very serious, right? Because they've committed tax fraud. They've committed a lot of other crimes in consideration of the fact that they've refused to take responsibility for the fact that they wanted to misrepresent the terms of this financial relationship. Now, I currently have an invoice right here. It's 10 days overdue. I have not started yet calculating interest or engaging in any sort of collection proceedings regarding this. I have an invoice for $61,200 concerning legal work I did in the month of June, 20 hours concerning evidence file review, 4 hours concerning case review data compilation, and 10 hours of review of opinions and in consideration of other cases that had legal merits that I believed were relevant to mine and would have been challenged or would have been used as what would have been my response to my case or to what could potentially have been a collegial relationship around the complementarity of my case to other people's proceedings. That's the kind of capital I'm talking about when you're allowed to be acknowledged as a professional. See, I said in March of 2017, when I asked somebody if they would consider translating my business plan into Spanish so that it could be presented to other people, the reason I wasn't going to use an electronic transfer or translation service is because she deserved to be compensated. We had a right to set our own terms and to set our own rates for how we understood we provided services and we provided quality products, services, whatever it was. And in the meantime, while we're waiting for the charlatans who stole our lives to acknowledge that's what they did, we are not poor. We have been defrauded. We have been stolen from. I told her at that time how much I understood a translator at the kind of quality she was at made. And that's what I would have requested she invoice me at, and then we negotiate terms around acknowledging and honoring each other. And then when we receive the recovery and when we receive the restitution, then we would compensate each other according to what we understood each other's value to be worth. She had the right to set her rates, and if I wanted to work with her, it was up to me to determine whether or not I would agree to acknowledge that she was valued at that rate for her work. I am the same way. You understand? If you tell me that you are a professional and you somehow think that you're entitled to charge whatever the amount is, and that by virtue of me trying to exercise my constitutional right, I run the risk that you're going to try to hold me responsible for your rate, then you need to understand you've run the risk that you're responsible for mine. And I've already said, it's $450 every 15 minutes. I got an invoice for the month of June right now, $61,200. And every day I'm on the clock in July, and every month moving forward, it's the same. Are you going to pay my invoice? Are you going to pay me what I need to be compensated for what I've done? Because if you paid me for the work I've already done just for the month of June, I could take care of my own filing fees. I'm not a pauper. You just refuse to pay me.